Welcome to the Equipped Disciple channel. My name is Rick McClatchy. I will be your host. We are here to be and to make disciples of Jesus, and we do that through daily devos, through Sunday sermons, and through other discipleship resources. We are here to equip you to be an equipped disciple. Hey, welcome into another session of the Interest to Excellence Small Group Leader Development course. My name is Rick McClatchy. I'm your host. Love having you here with us each step of the way. This next session we're going to cover today is really about you, the leader, again, but we're talking now about some more characteristics, some character qualities that you want to look for in yourself, but also then thinking into the future of, because we don't just want to lead a great group and have great, but really we're talking about something that could turn into a multiplication type of effect as you bring people into your group, as you have an impact on them, then they have the opportunity to grow and then become leaders themselves. And so here are characteristics that you not only want to look for and to nurture in your own heart, but also to nurture in other people's hearts, to encourage them along these ways. And so the first one that we want to talk about is faithful. It's pretty critical if you're going to lead anything in your life. If you're really going to be successful in just about any area of your life, you got to be somebody that's faithful. You have to be somebody that is a person of their word, a person that follows through. The definition of faithful is to remain loyal or to be steadfast or to follow through on something. And we want to be people that follow through. We want to be people that are faithful to our word. And when you're talking about leading a group, it's just so critical because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, is one, common statement that's out there. And honestly, your faithfulness to the group and your faithfulness to them as a person, to them and their family, to them and the cares that, to know like, hey, I know you had a test the other day. How'd the test go? Being faithful to follow up on those kinds of things, to remember to prioritize them in your group and to show that they're valuable makes all the difference in the world. And I want you to take a moment just as kind of an application piece is to think through maybe a group that you've been a part of and the presence of faithfulness or maybe the lack thereof and the impact that had on you as a member of that group, but also think about how it impacted the group's ability to accomplish their purposes. Like, did it hurt it? Did it help it? What was there? And then what is one area in your life where, if you're really honest, if you did some deep down soul searching, you'd say, you know what? I need to grow in the area of faithfulness in this area of my life, and write it down and begin to make a plan for how you're going to intentionally grow in the area of faithfulness in that particular part of your life. Because really, life is all about just incremental steps, incremental growth, taking our next best step in our relationship with God, growing and maturing and becoming more of who we're supposed to be. So faithful is the first thing. The next one, specifically in regards to leading something, to being a group leader, is you need to be available. Because there are times and seasons in life. Now, you know me, I'm passionate about groups. I'm passionate about people making time, prioritizing, because I believe in what happens in the context of small group relationships and dynamics. And I want to see people grow. I want to see people ministered to. I want to see people helped. But we also just need to be realistic that there are times and seasons in our lives where we're not very available. Now, and that may be just the fact of the matter is right now you're not available. So it's not always just a clear cut, easy to tell kind of a situation. Sometimes we have to do, again, this is the soul searching session, right? You got to do some soul searching and ask yourself, am I really not available in this season? Or am I, masking, or am I just putting it off? Am I
Am I, allowing other things to crowd out what should maybe be a priority in my life? But think about times and seasons of life, and different seasons of life bring different levels of responsibility. So ask yourself, what are my current commitments? What have I started a new job? If you've started a new job, maybe right now it's not the right season for you to lead because you're focused on nailing down this new job. Maybe you have a new kid. Maybe you have a new marriage. Maybe you're in the final year of medical school. Maybe, we got all different kinds of scenarios that could be going on. And you want to just take an honest evaluation of your situation and just be honest with how available that makes you. And you know what? Be willing to say right now is not the right season for me. But to recognize that it's just a season and it's going to pass, and to begin even to make a plan for when this season passes. Pull out your calendar and say, hey, when the new baby is 6 months old and we're more established in our routines, then I'm gonna look at this again. And I'm gonna look at doing this. I'm gonna lead a group. Darn it, I'm gonna take that step. It's just important that we continue to be intentional, even though maybe right now we're gonna take a break. All of that being said, it is important to come back around to this whole concept of your life is your group, and that really actually helps. A lot of seasons still work for leading a group. That a lot of times the availability question is a check, because there are a lot of things in our lives that we continue to do even when we're in the midst of kind of a busy season. We'll just take the runners, for example. Like runners gonna run, and so even though they have a new baby, even though they've started a new job, they're actually out there running 3 times a week because it helps keep them sane. It helps them think. It helps them process. Well, you can take one of those running appointments a week and invite people to come and do it with you. And you have a small group without taking any extra time, and actually potentially, bringing in some relational support for a time when you might need it the most. So we have faithful and we have available. And now I want to talk about teachable. Teachable, I am telling you what, is such an important part of this group leader process. Some of the factors that lead to being humble, to being teachable, I let the cat out of the bag there. To be teachable, first you have to be humble. You have to not think too highly of yourself, and to recognize that even people that are younger than you, people that are older than you, people that are from different walks of life, different types of professions, whatever it might be, they have something in them that they can help you with, something they can teach you. I believe everybody has strengths and abilities, talents, and then we also have weaknesses, areas of opportunity, areas where we are just not the strongest. And so when we recognize that other people are not like us, other people are different than us, then it means that, one, I have something I can bring to the table to help them, but simultaneously I need to recognize that they also have something they can bring to the table for me. And that helps me to stay humble and willing to learn, because I just need to be honest. Like, you know what? I can learn something every day for the rest of my life and never exhaust really what God has to teach me. And so often God uses other people to teach us the things He wants us to learn. And it's not usually, education, book smarty kind of stuff. A lot of times it's deep heart stuff that we need to learn. And many times that comes most effectively through other people. So be humble, be willing to learn, be gracious to encourage people, because when you get into a group situation, you're going to have all kinds of people that are insecure, people that think they don't have anything to offer. And this is one of the things that makes small groups so powerful, is because you have these moments where you can look someone in the eye, someone that doesn't feel like they have anything to offer, and you can actually draw out of them part of their story. Like we talked in previous session, we talked about life experience, we talked about pain experience, we talked about passions and interests. Well, you can actually draw out of people what those dynamics in their lives have built into them. And you can begin, because you're being humble and you're willing to learn and you're being gracious, is you can actually draw it out of them and then communicate to them how they have helped you, how they have spoken something into your life that is impacting you, that is helping you to grow. And it begins to help them understand that, hey, even in my broken place, I have something to offer other people. That's pretty incredible. And so there's something really, really valuable about that. And I think it really starts with the leader being willing to model that type of behavior. Is we show, hey, in this group, in this area, we're learners. We learn. We learn from each other. Excuse me. And I know for me, that is a critical culture that I want built in my group. And I just recently went to a conference, and one of the phrases that really stuck out to me is, you can't build culture, you can only be culture. Because people do what you do, they don't do what you say. And so how you live, how you operate is so critical if you want to see those things established in your group. And so this willingness to learn, this teachableness, is going to be critical that you do it first. You can't just say, hey, everybody, I got a lot of things to teach, so I hope you come teachable. No, we want to be modeling it from the get-go. And so a quick question for you. What's the last book that you read? What is that's really one big way that you can remain teachable, is to continue to bring content to yourself, a podcast, a blog, a book, a sermon series, whatever it might be, to continue to stretch yourself. And it doesn't all have to be, religious, Bible oriented. It could be all different kinds of things. But sit down today and make a list of 6 books that you would like to read. And, for those of you that aren't big readers, you could go ahead and do the Audible thing. There's great apps from the library where you can check out Audible books and listen to audiobooks, and rather than having to sit and read. But it's an incredible way to continue to keep yourself sharp mentally and growing emotionally and mentally and spiritually. And again, then it gives you things to talk about. So, oh man, I was just reading this book and this is how it impacted me. Man, I was studying the Word of God today and this is what the Lord spoke to me. And what it does is it communicates to people in your group how you live your life. And they're coming to the group partly because they want to learn other ways to live their life. And so we've got faithful, we've got available, we've got teachable. And then the last one I just want to mention, because I think it's pretty important, is accountable. There's no place in the Bible where it talks about a Lone Ranger Christian. It does not exist. As a matter of fact, when the Bible talks about the church, it's the ecclesia, the called out ones. We're called out as a group. We're called out collectively. And so we need to make sure that we're not just on our own, doing our own thing, but that we have someone or someones in our lives that we are accountable to, that know us well enough to sit us down someday and be like, Rick, you need to adjust this. You need to change the way you're thinking about this. You need to change the way you're acting, the way you're behaving. We need that. It brings accountability. It brings backup. It brings support. It brings safety, really, because other people can see our blind spots in ways we can't. That's why they're called blind spots, because it's in a spot where you're blind. And so accountability is sometimes one of the most resisted things. Again, because we have to be humble, we have to be teachable, we have to be vulnerable, we have to let other people in to our world. And sometimes that's pretty hard. And so this one, from an application standpoint, is super simple and yet super challenging, because it's simple because, gosh, all you have to do is find somebody and then allow them to speak into your life. But it's super challenging because we have to be humble. We have to really give ourselves to it. We have to be honest. We have to, when you mess up, you gotta fess up to it. You can't just hide it and expect accountability to work. And so, again, faithful, available, teachable, and accountable. Great characteristics to make sure you're continuing to sow into your life to, again, like we talked about in previous sessions, being intentional, being consistent, and being authentic in those areas and growing in those areas. So I hope that you got something great out today. Maybe get out a notebook and write down your biggest takeaway from what we've talked about today. And God bless you. Hope you have a great day. I'll check you out in the next session.